We are rolling. This is it. This is episode 362, Jackie Kashian, of No Laugh Track Podcast.
Almost
we are rolling.
1 year of doing these in a row. But many years have gone by.
True. I've often thought of that, like, oh my God, what if someone sat that? What if you did one a day? What if you sat there and did it, back to back to back? I mean, these are things that would drive someone insane. No one is ever going to do this, but it's a lot of audio.
Right.
It is a lot
of audio.
So here we are. We're back. Jackie's back at No Laugh Track Podcast. We're recording on a Friday. You've apparently had a busy week. You've done shows here.
I've done many shows, many radios, many things. So here we are talking. Are we filming as well? Yes. Because you got the new film set up.
Yeah.
That's great. That's glamorous.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of cool.
I try not to be conscious about it. You're supposed to say we're not recording, then I don't think about it.
Right.
Sorry, we're not. It's broken, right? Already broke? Perfect.
It's does it have Vaseline on the lenses? Is it making us all very good looking? And it softens.
Yes, absolutely. How's the week been going?
It's been going great. It's everybody has enjoyed the shows. I brought a friend of mine to feature for me named Carmen Morales, and she is a delight.
Yeah?
A damn delight.
Have you brought her here before?
No, last year I brought Brandy Posey.
That's right.
Brandy Posey is also a delight, it turns out. Brandy Posey, hilariously, her CD isn't a CD. It's she was selling cassette tapes with a download card because most people don't have cassette players, right? I think Carmen just has, because both Brandy and Carmen are headliners, right? They headline their own shows all the time, and I'm just trying to get them into Acme because they're like, you do Acme? Because Acme's so cool. And I was like, yeah, why don't you come and feature, and people will like you. And it turns out it's worked out.
I think I saw a post from Carmen,
right,
who's opening for you, featuring this week, and I think she mentioned this being a bucket list item for her, working Acme. Am I wrong? Did I see that?
Well, I think she's also like 30, so I say keep filling the bucket, kid. Not that I don't love Acme, but I think some people it's going windsurfing in Australia or something like that. I don't know.
I'm going to try something new off my bucket list.
The bucket list. Right, and we're doing Madison next week, the Comedy on State, which is also on her bucket list, but it's also on my bucket list. So, but my bucket list is slightly more weathered. And it's got a real feel to it.
Yeah.
And, I'm psyched though because she's super fun to work with, and the comedy's really smart and funny. So
that's Carmen, someone you met in L.A.?
Yeah, she's a Florida comic, and she's a Latino lady.
See?
And she she does some joke about how this version doesn't come with the accent. Because they've melted essentially.
Right.
It's, right. They've been here longer than my family, I think. But yeah, the stuff is smart, and the audiences have been, as per usual, excellent. And I'm working on my new album, so I'm hoping to do it next year sometime. But I need the long sets, I need to work out the chops.
How have you been getting the long sets recently?
Well, this is here's the scoop: there's been some. It's taking a little bit longer than other albums, because I've gotten fancy featuring work. Where Maria Bamford and Brian Regan have to explain that I'm a headliner. And
as you were saying that, I'm like, just like Jackie and Maria Bamford and Brian Regan. I was thinking the same thing.
And just like I have to explain that Brandy Posey and Carmen Morales are headliners. Because Maria's bringing me on the road to do her sort of theater gigs, and Brian's bringing me on the road to do his stadium gigs, and it's all very fancy, but their sets are only 20, 25 minutes. Yeah. So it helps with new stuff. Like, you get to work on a lot of like shorter sets, but when you do an album, it's 45 minutes to an hour, right? You got to work on the arc. You have to be able to sustain the whole hour, even though the radio is only going to play them in tracks of 3 to 4 minutes. So I could put out I genuinely could put out like a 35, 40 minute album right now, and then put out a 35, 40 minute album next year. But Matter of fact, that would probably be better money wise, because then the stuff could get radio play faster, Sirius XM kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you workshopping this right now?
Yes.
Are you going to make a decision? You just made a decision right in front of me?
Announcement. Acme Podcast. No, I don't think I'm going to do it, though. Because I don't know. There's parts of me that are a bit of a stick in the mud. And so I like the old school, a full album with the kind of arc that I like.
So I have several questions about that. One of them is the last album that you did, if I remember correctly.
Hero.
It came out. It was recorded right around the election, correct?
6 weeks after the election, so like Christmas through 2016.
Well, how about 6 weeks after the next one?
Oh, fuck.
That'll be your new thing.
It's
recording after elections, 2020. Come on, Jackie.
Right. Come on to the show and watch me kill myself in real time. If there's trouble, you guys. It's like, I don't want to.
You haven't considered this? Come on. It'll be a new thing for you.
Oh, my God. Think about
the non-political, political releases.
Or what do you, it would be, if I did kill myself on this stage, just think how much they'd play my stuff on Sirius, and whoever my beneficiaries were, that sound exchange money would be pretty sweet for months. Anyway.
Absolutely.
Or we take back America, you guys. We decide that we don't enjoy white supremacism, as convenient as it is.
Could do that too. It's an option.
As a whitey Magoo, you would think I would be in favor of white supremacism, but I know too many white people. It turns out, and we're run of the mill.
Yeah.
There's it's the same percentage of dum-dums as there are when you meet somebody with more melanin.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Nothing to be done.
I want to ask you my other question about the recording, and that you brought up about the the 3 minute, the 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute things that go out on satellite radio and such. Have you had to do that? Like, we cut down like a 10-minute bit that's been recorded to get it on the air somewhere?
The other way.
What do you mean? Put them together to make them longer?
Yeah.
Really?
Because somebody was, you didn't hear it from me, and I can't remember who I heard it from. So, so the good news is this is gossip that that anyone can deny if it's true.
Sounds
and
great.
Also, I can't get in trouble for it because I can't remember who told me. So I'd be great in the resistance, you guys, because you could torture me and I'd be like, no, I don't know who told me. I genuinely don't. Anyway, but what I heard was Sirius XM was being gamed because they pay it's something like $15 a spin. That's the cut if you are the artist.
Oh.
And $15 for the publisher. So $30 a spin. It isn't pennies.
No.
It's boat tons of money, right?
Yeah.
So record labels were cutting super short jokes.
Ah.
So if it's a 45-minute album and you have 40 tracks and you want to play those 40 tracks. So they've instituted, to my knowledge, they've instituted a new rule, whether it's a real rule or if it's just one of those things that you're like, they're not going to play it if it's 1 minute.
Sure.
So I did actually just recut my 4 other albums into 3 to 5 minute chunks. But
shit.
Yeah, and I tend to be long-winded anyway. So many of my tracks are already 3 to 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm a gift to them. If it were squeaky clean, it would help even more because they have a squeaky clean channel.
Yeah.
And that would be even better.
Could you mix in some more redneck humor to get on that station?
They have a redneck channel too, but the redneck channel, you don't have to be a redneck. You might be a redneck, but you don't have to be a redneck.
Did you just come up with that?
I might have. You
Wait
guys,
a second.
let there be a T-shirt. And yeah, it's super fun though.
Oh, that is catchy.
That is catchy. Get her done, man.
You just did this? Have you noticed a change, or is it not too soon to notice?
It's too soon. Literally, because of the deal that I have with my record label, where I own the masters, because I should own the masters. That's why I own the masters, because
it's yours.
They're mine.
Yeah.
Mine. But because of that, the label doesn't have a vested interest in getting radio play.
Okay, yeah, of course.
They're psyched to, they like me, and they're psyched about my comedy.
Sure.
And there is download money that we split We split download money, but we don't split spin money like
Okay.
plays. And so there's paperwork that has to be filled out to get it onto the radio. Sirius XM, even regular radio, actually, stand-up comedy doesn't have the same ASCAP. What's it called? A BMI?
Yeah, something like that.
Something
yeah.
like that. There's what music does on radio. There's a group that essentially monitors it
Right.
and reports it back for royalties.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that for stand-up. So stand-up can just play on regular analog radio,
Oh.
and nobody's checking. So live it up, regular analog radio.
Yeah.
Play some stand-up.
Less and less people are listening to that radio too.
Right, exactly. But
the truth, but yeah.
yeah, and so I did not know why they weren't playing my stuff. I just assumed it was because I didn't give it to them or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know. And then a friend of mine who's at a different label was like, well, did your label fill out the paperwork? And then I told him that I owned my masters, and he was like, he did not. Your label did not fill out the paperwork.
Okay.
But I can give you the paperwork if you want to fill out the paperwork. So I literally filled out this super fiddle and diddle spreadsheet where I had to listen to my albums. I had to put tracks, and then I had to recut some of the tracks to make them longer, and then I had to tag them up. And then I had to send suggestions of what channel it
Holy
would work
cow.
on Sirius XM.
You did all the work.
I did all the work. It took about 2 or 3 weeks because I don't know if you've tried to listen to your own stand-up comedy albums. It's brutal, and you're like, my first 2 albums, I burned an album of my own. I did one of those things on the computer, the 90s.
Yeah.
We were all doing it.
Yeah.
And then I put a sticker on it, and there was art, and I put it in a jewel case, and I brought it with me on the road, and it was just gas money, right?
Right.
And they're still available. Sometimes people will send me a picture of them because they'll find them in like a used bin.
Oh, yeah.
But somebody just bought one, and the files had disintegrated off of the CD.
Wow.
Yeah, it was weird, but
That happens?
the buried text message was still there. Anyway, which is just a recipe for baked chicken. Anyway, made
Are you
me laugh.
serious?
Yeah. It was
What?
called "Cake Is Not My Downfall."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so then after that, I did a more real where I hired an audio guy.
Yeah.
And we put it out. And it was called Circus People.
Yep.
So then the first one who I had done myself, I was like, well, I'm going to redo all those jokes. I still do some of those jokes. And it had been like 5 or 6 years. And so, but weirdly enough, It's Never Going to Be Bread is what that one's called.
Yep.
And it's got the Cake Is Not My Downfall bit and a bunch of that material. It also weirdly has some of the material from Circus People, but it's updated and sort of finished,
Yeah.
right? So Bread, so I'm listening to these albums going, oh, what a pain in the ass for people having to listen to the first iteration of this LA Pet joke and now the second iteration of this LA. All right. And then I made peace with it.
Yeah.
So if
I
anybody-
mean, that's happened to a million,
Right. I mean, you buy
performers.
albums.
Yeah.
Right? You buy musical albums. You listen to different versions of the same song.
Yeah.
So,
I've heard musicians ask that question a million times. Like, when do you know a song is done?
Oh, right.
When do you know a joke is done?
well, you don't.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's got to be done when you record it. And then if you keep doing it, you're like, oh, look at that tag.
Yeah.
And and then if you put it on another album, you put it on another album. I
Yeah.
think, doesn't Elvis Costello put out different versions of the same music sometimes?
Oh, I don't know. Does he?
I don't know.
Let's say yes.
I would say yes. I would say that a lot of musicians do. So,
That makes it difficult to have everything a person releases then.
right? The Grateful Dead bootleg business
Oh,
is a
overwhelming.
is a strapping industry. I don't even know if it's still happening, but I would
Overwhelming.
assume it is.
Let's talk about the other things you've done in the last year. Done some traveling?
So much traveling.
I want to hear about it.
I think I was I gone to Vietnam the last time? Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand.
Yeah,
I think I might have.
Yes.
I think I might have.
Yes.
So this year I've done 2 European things.
Yeah. Okay.
I did a European tour, Eastern Europe, for the troops, ending in Turkey for as long as I guess that lasts, because the troops aren't allowed off the bases anymore in Eastern Europe and Turkey, because they're gonna, they're at work, right? So if they go into town and people get in their face about American policies, they're supposed to defend America. And we're almost indefensible right now. So we got kids in cages here. People are dying of flu in kennels. So
by the way, side note, I know someone that snuck back over the border and was in one of those barely enough room for people to lay down. Like they would fight over spots, the last remaining spots, to have a place to lay down next to the toilet, under the sink, just for a place to sleep.
Yeah, we're fucking monsters.
Yeah, for real, Jackie. I know it firsthand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, not firsthand. Secondhand, I guess that would be.
Secondhand.
Secondhand,
but yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
back to Turkey.
Back to Turkey and Poland and Kosovo and Bulgaria and Romania. So it was just this tour of just the troops being bored, and we didn't really get to see stuff because we're not allowed off the base, because you drive onto the base, you stay, you perform, and you keep going. But the other trip that which is more cheerful is my husband and I saved up and went. We've been saving up for years to go to France. I've always wanted to go to France. Never been to France.
Sure.
And so we went to France for 2 weeks.
First of all, I want to say why France. Why have you wanted to go for so long?
Well, I studied French in college. I took 5 semesters, passed 3 of them. But I've always, there's a lot of European history in accidental historical fiction reading in my life. So you're like, and there's Roman ruins all over central and southern France. And so we went to Lyon, went to some Roman ruins. Then we drove into the middle of France to the Ardèche, where there are these cave paintings, 36,000-year-old cave paintings. Werner Herzog did a documentary about it. And Andy had seen the documentary. I did not. I'm willing to see a cave painting. But here's the thing about those cave paintings. You don't actually get to see the cave paintings. They don't want you breathing on 36,000-year-old art. So it's much like, when you go to the Museum of Natural History and you see dinosaurs? Mm-hmm. You're not seeing the dinosaur bones.
No, you're seeing a mold or whatever.
Yes,
a cast.
right, a cast of it, and that's what we got to see. Essentially, reproductions of the.
So less impressive, a little bit.
Right, but always. But when I found out about the dinosaurs, I was irritated. But
right.
The thing is I'm like, well, they're right. They don't want people breathing on 36,000-year-old cave paintings.
Oh yeah.
So we did that. The weird thing about the Ardèche and central France is that's where the French go to vacation. So it's essentially the Wisconsin Dells.
What?
Yeah, it's full on.
Full water slides?
Mirrors with yin yangs and Led Zeppelin on them. Really tchotchke bullshit.
Cool.
That you can full on buy, and you can, there's weed, like a mirror with a big pot leaf on it, and you're like
Spuds MacKenzie.
Yeah, some fucking bullshit. So it made me laugh, and then we go to Paris for a week. And we spent, I'm still full of art, and we went in October, so it's December.
Yeah.
So 2 months later, I'm good. For
Okay.
museums right now. I don't need to see more paintings, but we saw a lot of paintings. We also went to the Army Museum, the French Army Museum, which was the history of World War. It was essentially the Franco-Prussian War of 1870s, World War I, and World War II, and. Just heartbreaking and amazing. And then we went to the Resistance Museum, the French Resistance Museum. And also fascinating, we went into a bunker, a World War II bunker that was still there.
Wow.
And we got to see, and it was 200 steps down.
Holy cow.
Because they were being bombed. Anyway, so, but get this. So we're in the Ardèche. There's all kinds of tchotchke bullshit.
I was going to say, did you leave with souvenirs?
Well, what I wanted French Resistance souvenirs.
Uh-huh.
So when we get to the French Resistance Museum, I'm like, hey, I need they had enamel pins that they had in World War II.
Okay.
To show that they were in the Resistance, like sort of hidden, like sort of code.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, money on the table here. I would like some merch. And they're like, no, we do not. That is crass. And I'm like, no, I've been to your Wisconsin Dells. You do crass. Don't lie to me and tell me you don't do fucking crass. And by the way, they totally do. The Eiffel Tower, we bought some golf tees shaped like the Eiffel Tower.
Sure.
to hold the golf ball.
Yeah.
But you turn
It is tacky.
Yeah, it turns out tacky's available in different places, but not the French Resistance Museum. And I was like, you guys, I want something cool. So I bought a French Resistance T-shirt, but I bought it on Amazon.
I was gonna say, where did I thought for sure there was gonna be like the people outside,
Knockoffs.
The knockoffs
Yeah.
when there's a concert in town. Yeah.
Yep.
We got Taylor Swift T-shirts, $10, 40 inside.
Yep.
Yeah, but Minneapolis is spelled wrong.
Yeah,
right.
I know. I went and saw Heart, and the Heart T-shirts outside the Hollywood Bowl were $10.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of want a Heart T-shirt, but we didn't. We didn't.
You
end
really
up.
need to check the spelling. I've seen misspellings on those T-shirts like that numerous times.
Right,
Yeah.
and they're all seconds and irregulars, so.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Yeah,
right.
they don't always fit real well.
It says
so.
medium, but there's one really long sleeve, and the rest is XL. I don't believe a second of this. I've been catching up on some of your podcasts that you host, like Jackie and Laurie.
The Jackie and Laurie Show is a mesmerizing tale of two middle-aged women talking about stand-up comedy.
It's seriously, like, is it even... It's not 100% for me, yet I really enjoy it.
It isn't 100% for us. It's not 100% for
does that
fucking
mean?
anyone. I don't know. I don't really know who we're doing it for, because a lot of non-comics listen to it, and a lot of women comics listen to it, but a lot of male comics listen to it because we are just talking about stand-up comedy, and women in comedy stuff comes up a fair amount just because people. It is the number one question when you are interviewed for a
like
you've
a
never-
10-minute radio segment or
right,
something,
a
right?
radio segment, an article, and if it's a new interviewer, like I just did a piece for the City Pages here with P.F. Wilson. That guy knows better. Like, we've talked about it. We've discussed what it's like being a woman in comedy, but we did it 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to still ask me about it. He's good.
Yeah.
And but if you get someone from The Beast or The Times or, like someone called me up, called my home telephone number and was like, hey, I'm with some online thing. And I was like, just wanted to ask you about Louis C.K. on my home phone number. And I was like, why don't you ask a male comic about Louis C.K. and see what Tom Segura thinks about Louis C.K. and stop asking me because I don't. You want a button push,
Right.
and you have a better chance of button pushing if you ask Bill Burr.
Yeah.
You have a better. You'll
I
get a
love it.
better soundbite if you ask Nick Swartzen what he thinks about. Just ask somebody.
Yeah, who else was on their list when they called you? Sarah Schaefer, who was recently
Yeah.
here. They call her too.
Yeah, always.
I bet they did.
Yeah, they always call. It's 1,000 women comics,
Yeah.
and eventually you're just like, well, are we gonna ever talk about my projects or my thing? And
Right.
and and they're like, oh sure, and then they never ask about what you're doing or anything. So I've literally stopped answering those questions because I'm like, what do you think I think about it? Anyway, moving right along.
Yeah.
But so the Jackie and Laurie Show is where we do talk about all that. We talk about all that bullshit because every couple of weeks there's some new fresh horror
Yeah.
in life, of course, and then also in comedy. And like today, some comic. There's a comedy online presence, supposedly comedy, called the Young Turks.
Okay.
And first of all, they're Turkish, and they've named themselves after the government that created the Armenian genocide, that was responsible for killing 1.5 million Armenians, and they're Turkish. And I was like, okay, this isn't a euphemism. You genuinely hate Armenian people, and I can't support you.
No.
But the thing is I thought it was a joke, so I was on the Young Turks channel once, probably a dozen years ago. And so this guy, he's sort of like he's like a fake socialist. Like, he's raking in the money with both hands. And he's genuinely, like, not woke. He's a big guy he's an ass-grabbing kind of douche, right? So he is running for Congress
Okay.
in California. Comedy guy with this weird dirtbag ancestry, this broy dude broy kind of following is
Yeah.
running for Congress against a working Democrat. and Bernie Sanders had just advocated for him, is just backed him up. And I was like, oh, there's all kinds of trouble there. There's trouble comedy-wise. There's trouble politically.
Oh, no.
There's trouble dude-wise. There's trouble lady-wise. Fuck me. And so I'm sure we will discuss this on the next episode of the Jackie and Laurie show, which we're not taping until the 22nd. So because we just did a couple of live episodes.
Yeah, I listened to those.
Oh, did you listen to the last one? Or the first one? It was Bend.
I heard that one. I heard Bend.
Yeah,
definitely heard Bend, and I heard a second
Stand,
one.
The New York one? Maybe we were in New York City at the Stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super fun too. Yeah, and the live ones are fun. Laurie loves it because she doesn't. She is like everyone, right? You love a live audience, and so Kyle, the guy who does our audio, he's an excellent laugher.
Yes, he is,
and a very funny comic, Kyle Clark. He sometimes isn't enough. Like if we just recorded it's just the two of us and I don't laugh enough at her jokes. She's like, let's do live ones. But here's the weird thing about doing live ones.
Yeah.
So we do live shows, and then she doesn't think it's real entertainment. I mean, you know how we're here in front of nobody, except for, of course, Brandon.
Yeah. I heard him laugh once.
He laughed once. And but if we did this live, it would be much more gratifying, right? Because there would be audience interaction. So the live ones, Laurie doesn't think that it's entertainment. So she's wrong.
Yeah.
It is because people listen to podcasts for entertainment.
Yeah.
And information and whatever other reasons. But so we always do stand-up as well. So we each do a half hour, and then we do an hour podcast.
Oh.
Yeah. But we don't air the stand-up.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
it's usually new stuff that we're working on. So, but like the live Dork Forests, I never had a problem just doing live Dork Forest. Though I do like the idea of doing stand-up as well, because I love stand-up. Why wouldn't I?
Why wouldn't you?
And then I'd get to dork out with somebody for an hour or two, which is also super fun for me.
I have to point out, and I still love it, that you guys are like looking at the clock.
Oh my God, the clock thing is hilarious. Where you're like, I'm sure we're at an hour. This has got to be an hour, right? Someone wanted a T-shirt that said some variation on that.
Yeah.
And we have, speaking of merch, the Jackie and Laurie merch. It's always, she wanted tote bags. But let me tell you something about the hippie grocery bag industry. It's saturated. There's a lot of hippie, and they're $1.
Jackie, earlier this week I was doing some cleaning at home. I have so many of those recyclable grocery.
Yeah.
I found like a dozen of them. I thought we had 2.
Right.
There are at least 12 in my pantry.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because you run out of bags, and you're like, well, I probably shouldn't get a plastic bag that I'll throw away. I'll buy another one of these
Yeah, so
that
many.
I will eventually throw away.
Yeah, so many.
Yeah, it is. Matter of fact, we should just take them and just leave them outside a grocery store so that people can just take them as they walk in.
No, collect deposit.
Yeah, it's a nickel. And
So you have Jackie and Laurie totes?
yeah, we have Jackie and Laurie tote bags, and then, but we did just make a really cool. It's super cool, super heavy. Our merch decisions are not great. Notebooks.
Okay.
They're beautiful notebooks.
I saw them.
Yeah,
online.
they just have our logo on the cover, and then but they're pop colors. So there's a little strap, and the side of the paper, it's lined paper on the inside.
Yeah.
But the sides of the paper are colors, different colors, and they're blue and red and orange and yellow and pink. Maybe not yellow, whatever. But we have to. They're 11 ounces each.
Mm-hmm.
So to mail someone, and they were a fortune. They cost $12 each. So we're selling them for $20 live.
Okay.
But if you want to order them online from JackieandLaurie@gmail.com, they're $30 because it costs $5 or $7 to mail them.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
So
you have a crate of them here is what you're saying, and you demand people
we
buy
have
them.
200 of them, and I did not bring them because they're super heavy.
Right.
But for me, Jackie Kashian, I have a bunch of new merch.
Yeah.
Because I don't like selling T-shirts. Like some comics, they have one T-shirt, they sell it. It's just my favorite story. Jake Johansson has a T-shirt that just says "Touch It." Well, it's a terrible T-shirt. Fuck you. And I saw it, and I said to Jake Johansson, "What is happening? You're better than this." And he looked at me right in the face, and he goes, "I have a mortgage. Leave me alone.
Ah!
And
He also is selling a T-shirt now because I brought one home
Okay.
that just says "sex robot," and he even I don't remember if it's on stage or if he said it to me.
he has to have paid off his house so far.
Right. I know. What's this? Somebody need a.
What? Somebody need braces? What's happening?
He told me that someone wears the T-shirt "sex robot," it leads to sex, and I have to say, he's not wrong. He's
Well,
not wrong.
were you alone? Because it can always lead to alone
He's
sex.
not wrong.
Huh?
My wife was
Boom.
wearing it, and it led to.
It led right there.
Yep.
Right there. We did it.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, Jake, for getting me some action.
That's right. Sex robot. It works.
Sex robot. Hilarious.
So how many do you have with you here?
Well,
at
I only
Acme?
brought the one new one.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. I have Dork Forest t-shirts, and I'm going to phase out. I was going to phase out the green one because I was going to make a new black
Classic.
t-shirt. But I'm keeping the green one. Now I was gonna put it on black. I have two t-shirts. I have a Ranger of the Dork Forest t-shirt, which is a lot of dorky things coming out of the forest.
Yeah.
It says Ranger of the Dork Forest. Adorable. I have the logo, the Dork Forest logo, which has like a D12 on it and the Rebel Alliance symbol without the benefit of copyright. And it has a line in Elvish that means I found it. It's what Aragorn says when he finds the white tree at the end of Lord of the Rings. Anyway, that's on green. So the Black Ranger, the green logo shirt. And then I have two other t-shirts. One, Spooky Reading Girl t-shirt on purple, and a royal blue Meat Shield t-shirt. The Meat Shield t-shirt and the Meat Shield enamel pin are charity items. And I'm almost at 10 grand. I've donated $9,000 to 1,000 different, to like the ACLU, Black Lives Matter, Southern Law Poverty Thing, Racist Texas, Immigrant Defense, because of the dumpster fire that is our country. So, but I'm real close to that next 1,000. I did give 1,000 to something called a Minneapolis company called Resisting Sisterhood,
Okay.
and it helps Muslim women who need to sort of relocate in Minneapolis, finding jobs and because sometimes the community is supportive and sometimes it is not.
Sure.
And so it's super helpful for women, sort of the domestic violence kind of thing. And so, yeah. Anyway, so I have a new 1,000, and that new 1,000 I've decided is going to go to make sure that people who get out of jail register to vote.
Okay.
Yeah. So, gets them ID and, yeah, it's called a Vote for Change or something like that. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the Meat Shield. So I have a blue one, Meat Shield. I have a purple one, Spooky. I have a green one, Dork Forest. And I have a black one, Ranger of the Dork Forest. I am discontinuing the black one, Ranger of the Dork Forest. Going to keep the green one, the Dork Forest logo. Going to lose the Spooky. Spooky
goodness.
Reading Girl, that's done. Just gonna do pins or never anything because the joke's 6 years old.
Sure.
I'm over it. And then the Meat Shield t-shirt, I'm thinking of phasing out the t-shirts that just going with the pins. So I have with me a gray t-shirt that has an image of the brawny paper towel guy, the Swiss Miss lady, and a gummy bear all hugging.
Oh, I saw this.
Yes.
Yes.
And that is the new t-shirt. All my t-shirts are union made. And then one that is...
Well, do you want to say what it says on that one?
No, you should come and see.
Okay.
And then... But then the other one, I could tell you about the other one, which is being printed right now, is gold, and it's
what is
essentially
this?
it's a drawing of my father with all of his sayings.
No way.
Yeah, so never say no without a number. There'll always be more money because there has to be.
Creativity is more important than following the rules.
Oh yeah, he doesn't. Yeah.
What is this one? The bee goes from flower to flower.
The flower doesn't go from B to B. That was his sex talk. That was the one sex talk that he gave me. Guess which one you are? He said. The bee goes from flower to flower. The flower doesn't go from B to B. Guess which one you are? Yeah. We live in a dystopian present. I do like give yourself awards. No one checks.
That's awesome.
He's like, didn't you win the best European stand-up comic or stand-up comic of the year in Vietnam last year?
Yeah,
And I was
born
like,
in
stop talking,
this
Dad.
tall.
I
Yeah.
love you. Anyway,
And he's still going strong.
so he's well, he was a couple of weeks ago, and I called him, and he was like, I'm sleeping too much.
Oh.
I think I'm dying.
Oh no.
And he's 84.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, don't die before I get there. I get there on Sunday. I'm gonna be there Sunday through Wednesday.
Okay.
Because I finish here. I have 2 shows, of course, tonight and tomorrow, and then Sunday I drive to Milwaukee to see the family, and then on Thursday I go to Madison, Wisconsin, to do Comedy on State through the weekend. So it should be fun.
For sure.
Yeah.
One thing, I think I've done this with you before, probably. I like looking up stories from people's like hometown.
Oh, yeah.
Like a news story.
Did you look up South Milwaukee?
Of course I did.
Ah.
Do you have any idea what the biggest story recently from South Milwaukee?
Is it the Crusher?
Yes!
Yeah.
But why? But what part of that?
Well, they put a statue up. I have a picture.
I saw
of myself
that.
with the Crusher.
So I found this story that I'm about to tell you about.
Okay.
And then, in strange order, then saw your picture next to the statue.
Of the Crusher.
So there's a statue.
Nothing happens in South Milwaukee. This thing is the hugest thing that's happened in a generation.
It's a statue to a professional wrestler, former
Yes.
professional wrestler from the area, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I think Baron von Raschke is from Minnesota.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
so many. Who brought you to the statue? Was it like, well, we're gonna go?
No, I went.
Or were you just walking by? And
No,
like,
no,
oh, there it
it
is.
was a destination.
It was a destination.
Well, South Milwaukee is the size of this building, so granted, it's got 20,000 people in it, the town, and it's more of a bedroom community now. It's like a suburb than its own town, but it is its own town. And when I grew up there, the main street, which is where the big factory is, it was a Caterpillar factory. I think it's closing, but the statue's right across from that at the old train station, and it's essentially the Crusher holding a quarter barrel, like a keg, on his shoulder. And I remember in high school, people were like, "We're getting a quarter barrel. You want to come over?" And I was like, "No, I don't." Weird.
And that was like on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
During the school week.
And I was 14. So.
Okay, so this story that I have is about that statue. But did you hear about this? An 18-year-old South Milwaukee man has been convicted of vandalizing the Crusher statue. And he has now been sentenced.
Oh, really?
Yes. But here's what happened. The kid's name is James C. Dudgeon, Dudgeon. Do you know that last name?
No.
Dudgeon?
Okay.
Okay. In any case, James, we'll just call him James. James, they issued a sentence for James at a joint plea sentencing about a week ago. The second time this year the teenager has faced prison time for a crime. In the most recent case, James, he threw a concrete block at the 600-pound life-size statue of South Milwaukee wrestling icon Reggie Lisowski.
Reggie Lisowski. Sure.
Why did he do it, Jackie? Quote, he did it to be cool.
Well, how old is he?
18.
Yeah. It's there's literally nothing to do in South Milwaukee.
He thought he'd do it to be cool, and because he thought he would be, quote, a tough guy. When he was out with friends in this past August, of course, we know the Crusher was known for his 40-year professional wrestling career. He died in 2005.
And beating his wife. He was also known for that.
Oh.
Yeah.
So when are we going to tear down the statue then? That's not going to happen in 20 years?
The thing, what we've I think we've made. He's dead.
We're not going back.
No, we're not going back.
Okay.
We're just. Bing Crosby used to beat his wife too. We're not watching Holiday Inn. There's other reasons not to watch Holiday Inn. Anyway, the scene.
The statue, which
Yes.
which features Lisowski carrying a beer barrel over his shoulder, was unveiled during a 2-day festival in June called
Crusher Fest.
Crusher Fest.
That's right.
Of course, it's called
yeah.
Crusher Fest. Did you know the community raised more than $40,000 for the construction of that statue?
I know that I was asked to donate to it, and I did not.
As a celebrity, you were asked to donate, or as a former resident, you
As
were
a
asked to
former
donate?
resident.
Okay.
Though I did get a very nice. I did have lunch with the mayor once because I was a celebrity.
Look at that.
The mayor of South Milwaukee, who
they-
has a day job.
Ah! Pays that well, huh?
Well, there's that much to
There's
do.
that much going on. That makes sense. This says here it stands at 11th and Milwaukee Avenues in South Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
2 months after the statue was unveiled, James' his family discovered, or pardon me, the Crusher's family discovered it was vandalized, and they had video surveillance and they found this kid.
Right. Well,
custody.
there's a camera up because of course it's going to be vandalized, and I saw the video and I was like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because they're like packs of dogs. Like all you do when you live in South Milwaukee is wander the streets because you don't want to go home.
Sure.
Because you're 15.
Right.
And nobody wants to go home when you're 15.
Right.
And now, luckily, kids have phones now, so they can lean against things and stare into their phones.
Very true. Yeah. Very true. We all should go into. I need to tell my kids to go in to be doctors for bad backs and necks. Everybody looking at their phones. Honestly.
Oh,
yeah. The restitution, by the way, he had to pay. He's ordered to pay $650 in restitution to the Crusher Foundation, and he has to send an apology to the foundation.
Well, what did it actually hurt the statue?
Yeah, he admitted his involvement. He had to pay for the damage.
What was the damage?
$1,200.
But what did he
threw a brick at it?
A cinder block brick at it.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, the thing is made out of bronze. I mean, if I just saw the Rodin.
Oh, here we go.
The Thinker.
Yeah.
It was also made out of bronze, almost vandal-proof.
Vandal-proof. Okay.
Yeah.
Video surveillance showed two men repeatedly striking the statue with a concrete block, damaging its nose, right cheek, and upper right chest.
Okay.
So.
Oh, just sort of like just trying to chip it.
Yeah, they're trying
to
beat the hell out of it.
Or just maybe scratched it up.
Yeah.
Trying to knock the nose off of it, or in a Sphinx-like moment.
I guess. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I got it back. I'm gonna be kicking myself if I don't mention this. We were talking about earlier about like people can't keep their hands off things at art museums, and so or the dinosaurs and stuff. You're looking at the replica. About a week or so ago, we had a Titanic documentary on at home.
Okay.
And I'm gonna bust my mother-in-law for this.
Oh.
And she's like, "Oh, have you guys seen the traveling Titanic exhibit?" I was like, "Yeah, we saw it. It was in Vegas when we were there last year.
Yep.
We actually did see it." And she goes, "Oh yeah, we saw it about a dozen years ago when it was here in St. Paul. And they have this big piece from the hull or something that they pulled up." And she's like, "They have it behind ropes, and they tell you not to touch it." She's like, "I chipped off a piece of paint." I was like, "What? No!
What are you doing?"
No! Okay. No!
But classic though, because when I took Latin in high school, my Latin teacher, she was like, when you go and see the ruins, you have to leave the stuff there. It just looks like rocks. They're not. Yeah. They're ruins. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
If everybody took a rock from the Parthenon, there would be no more Parthenon.
Yeah.
So leave it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so funny. We were, but like, there's definitely, like, when I was at the Delphi Oracle at Delphi. I was at some sort of in Greece. I was at something in Greece, and it was we climbed over the fence because there was no security guard.
Okay.
And so we brought a bottle of wine. It's 1989, 1,000 years ago. I'm with two guys, a South African guy, a Canadian guy, and a woman from Mexico.
Okay.
Mexican woman. So we all four of us go in. We have a bottle of wine. We were going to hang out. And we go stand on the altar. And the Canadian, of course, hilarious. This is almost a caricature because he's like, "Hey, I'm reading. There's a sign here that says, 'Don't stand on the altar.'" And the Mexican woman is trying to, she's brought a candle and she wants to light a candle. And so she's moving some of the rocks around. And I go, "Hey, it's not a construction site. You don't get to move the rocks around." She's like, "Oh, good point." And so we just essentially wandered around looking for like some sort of ancient, sort of goddess kind of energy that we were looking for. We didn't find it. We were essentially just assholes.
Yeah.
And
how was the wine?
The wine was lovely.
That's good. That's good.
Cheap, because we were all 20.
Yeah.
So
did you ever go to the what is it called, Crystal Cave or whatever it's called? Where
is it?
It's the place where you go way down and it's got the stalagmites and the stalactites. It's just popped into my
Wisconsin,
memory. That was a whole other thing where they're like, whatever you do not touch these things. They've been forming for thousands or millions a year, whatever. And but they also tell you it's darker down here. It's 1,000 times darker than anything you'll ever, on the surface of the earth. It'll never get this dark because you're down there. So as soon as you get there, like touch, like terrible. Terrible. Hands to yourself, people.
Yeah. Just to try not to to take history home with you.
Yes. Yeah, right. Don't take
Leave it
history
alone.
home.
When you're in a national park, you're not even supposed to take pine cones and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, which is weird because you're like, there'll be more pine cones.
Sure.
But maybe if everybody took pine cones, there wouldn't be enough pine cones. I don't know. There's 8 billion people on the planet. There's a lot of people.
Disney Plus.
I have it.
Tell me.
Mandalorian.
Love it?
Yep.
Like it?
Yep.
Yep.
It's
All
essentially
5, 6? How many are out now? 5?
5. I've seen 5.
You have.
And
I'm through 4.
you through 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I love the music. The music is really cool, and it's turning into more and more of a Western, and it's super cool. And I liked, was it Amy Sedaris? Was in.
See, I haven't watched the 5th one,
you
but
haven't seen
I
that
saw
one.
the
She's in-
spoiler alert. I saw the pictures on social media. That
Oh,
she's
fair
in it.
enough. Yeah, and I didn't realize it was her until after, and I was like, oh, she was awesome.
Oh, you didn't
And-
recognize her.
No, I never recognized anybody though. So
I want that skill.
it's I
hate being distracted by that with voices and cartoons.
Oh,
and,
really?
Yeah, I don't like that. I would love to not connect the dots with that. I really would.
What did I see? I saw The Long Shot, the Seth Rogen, Charlize Theron romantic comedy where she's Secretary of State.
Kurt
And-
Braunohler's in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which the first time I saw it was on the back of a chair, and so the 4th time I saw it was on my television.
Oh, okay, I've never seen it.
Because it's adorable. And I was like, that's Kurt Braunohler. Anyway, so, but it's Charlize Theron, and I also own Mad Max Fury Road, and I did not know it was the same person.
Wow.
I never know who anybody is. Have you seen the Tig Notaro? There's a web series on YouTube called Under a Rock.
No.
And it's
heard
famous
about it.
people come on, and she doesn't know who they are.
Yes.
Which is essentially, I could have had that show.
Yeah.
But I guess she did Tony Shalhoub.
Just recently, like within the last week or something,
Maybe,
right?
yeah, I don't know. But so Tony Shalhoub shows up on set, and she's like, it's very nice to meet you. And he sits down, and he's like, you have no idea who I am? And she's like, no, I'm so sorry. And I would know who Tony Shalhoub was, but there's thousands. I mean, there's so many famous people.
I saw this morning Danny Aiello passed away. Do you know who that is?
I know that name.
You know the name.
What is he? Who is he?
What is he? Well, he was an actor.
Yes.
He remember the Papa Don't Preach video, Madonna?
No.
Yes, you do. This is me talking to my wife. Do you remember the? No.
No.
You do know.
You do know. If I saw
Damn it,
it,
you
yes,
know.
I would see it. He was in it?
He played her father in the Papa Don't Preach
Oh,
video.
okay.
He
All
was
right.
in some
1,000
Spike
movies.
Lee movies.
Okay. Was he in?
He was in that terrible.
Was he the pizza guy owner in his Do the Right Thing?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
He is in Do the Right Thing. Brandon, you can't back me up on this? Yeah, he doesn't know. Sure, he doesn't.
Fair enough.
Okay. He was in the movie Hudson Hawk that
I
I
never
know
saw
you
that.
you had to have watched that awful movie at least once.
Well, I never had cable. Because the thing about Hudson Hawk is that was like Beastmaster. It was on a rotation on cable nonstop. Like Shawshank Redemption.
Sure.
Right? Like they played Hudson Hawk 1,000 times a day.
Well, I saw Hudson Hawk in the movie theater because no one warned me about how bad it was going to be. So, and he's in that. So anyway, you don't know
so he
Danny
just
Aiello
passed
either.
away. That's
today.
How old was he?
88. I'm going to say if
not a
my
career
memory.
cut tragically short.
No.
So there you go.
Yeah.
I'm a dick.
I
Sorry.
couldn't tell you much more about him.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the time here? We could put a bow on this thing. Is there anything else we should be mentioning? You got the merch. You got
1,000 pounds of merch.
1,000 pounds of merch.
And
Cash only.
No, I got a square.
You take cards.
I got what am I? A Luddite? I have a square. But the new material, I'm pretty proud of the new material. I'll say that is that some of it's some of it needs work, but premise-wise, and there's a lot of good punchlines. I just need to tighten it all up. Like I have a good 30, 35 that's done for the album.
Okay.
But I want another 20, I want it to be 45 to 55 minutes. Because even though musicians, they put out a new album at 35, 30, 35. Comics, it's usually 45 to an hour. So, plus, I'm supposed to submit video to Netflix and Comedy Central and HBO so that they could see the hour and see if would they want to give me a special.
Oh.
And we'll see if And so I'm going to record with the new setup here.
Yeah.
And then
look at all these cameras.
Look at all these cameras, and then I'll send it to somebody who cares, and hopefully.
I listened back to when we did this a year ago, and that was one of the things that we talked about was that list. Like, here's the people that should get a Netflix special.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still on that list. But, it turns out you also have to be proactive. They would like a sample of what that would be, unless you're famous or somebody famous backs you up, right?
Sure.
Like They Ready, the Tiffany Haddish, because Tracy Ashley. Yeah, Minneapolis comic.
Oh, yeah.
And Felicia Michaels and Ada Rodriguez. They're all three of those. And there's two others that I don't know those two women. But those three women, I know those three women well. And they're all genuinely funny. So if you get a chance to see They Ready half hours, Tracy Ashley's a freaking delight.
Oh, yeah.
And then Ada Rodriguez and Felicia Michaels, awesome stand-ups.
Tracy Ashley, by the way, also a writer for that TV show The Neighborhood that was
Yeah,
on
she
the other
is.
night, and my wife was like, why is this on? I said, because Tracy Ashley writes for the show, and we know her. That's
right.
why.
You got to watch.
Damn right.
Give it a shot. I watched that murder show on HBO, Barry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
Hader.
my friend Emily Heller writes for it, was a producer,
Oh, she does?
Yeah, she's a big deal. And I was like, okay. And it's very funny. Too dark.
Okay.
Too dark for Jackie Sucation. Jackie Sucation doesn't want any part of it. All scary.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not going to get any better. And it's like Breaking Bad. When his girlfriend died, I was like, oh, I'm done watching this. That was my chance I thought there was going to be redemption. There's not going to be any redemption in Breaking Bad. I've never seen The Godfather 2 because at the end of The Godfather, I was like, oh, this isn't going to work out. This is terrible people. This is terrible people being terrible. The Wire, saddest show on television. Incredibly well acted, well written, well directed, beautifully shot. Want no part of it. Watch the first season. Don't need to see anymore.
Oh, you didn't see once they added Danny Aiello.
Oh, there you go. Huh? Come on. And Charlize Theron.
Yeah, exactly. Unrecognizable. Jackie, it's been great. Coffee's empty. It's time to get a refill.
Exactly. Now's the time.
Yep. Thank you.